All right. Let's jump into this deep dive.
Mhm.
Today, we're taking a look at Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's by Susan Jeffers. You know, a real classic in the self-help world.
Mm-hmm.
You sent us some excerpts, right, from the book summary.
Yeah.
And, well, what we're going to try to do is pull out, the most valuable insights so
Right.
you can, use them, like actually overcome your fears
Yeah.
and level up your life.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting about this book is it doesn't say to eliminate fear.
Right.
It actually says, kind of reframes it
Mm.
as a natural part of growth. Like a lot of times we try to avoid things that scare us, but Jeffers is suggesting that we should lean into the things that scare us,
Yeah.
that's actually the key to unlocking our potential.
So not ignorance is bliss, but feel the fear and crush it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I like that. But how does she explain that? How does she break down this idea of fear being, good for us?
So she talks about these 3 levels of fear.
Okay.
The first level is external fears. So, like a big presentation you have to give at work, or, spiders hiding in the closet.
Right. Right.
And then there's kind of internal fears.
Yeah.
Fears that come from our own thoughts, fear of rejection, fear of failure.
Gotcha.
And then the biggest fear, the big kahuna of fear is the I can't handle it.
Oh, wow.
That feeling of being overwhelmed, like you don't have the resources to cope.
So spiders in the closet are on the same level as worrying that I'm not good enough for a promotion at work,
Well, it's all relative, right?
I guess.
But recognizing the different levels helps us understand where our fear is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
It lets us separate the actual threats from anxieties that are more about our own insecurities, our own perceptions.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
I can already see how this is helpful.
Yeah.
If I'm afraid of public speaking, and maybe that's rooted in, fear of what people think of me,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can just address that directly instead of just being nope, I'm never giving a presentation again.
Exactly. Jeffers wants us to move away from that, what she calls a victim mentality,
Oh, okay.
where you feel helpless in the face of fear. And she wants us to move toward a proactive mindset,
Gotcha.
where we actually take control.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying, I'm terrified of this presentation, you could say, this is an opportunity for me to practice my communication skills
Oh, yeah.
and build confidence.
Well, you're turning it into a challenge to conquer instead of something to avoid.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really digging this.
Okay, good.
It's definitely a lot more, what's the word? Empowering
Mm-hmm.
than just trying to white knuckle my way through life.
Mm,
But, what about that voice?
yeah.
The one inside your head that's just always whispering doubts.
Oh, yeah. She calls that the chatterbox.
The chatterbox.
The chatterbox, yeah. And she offers, some tools, ways of dealing with it. And one of the biggest tools is, she's a big proponent of using affirmations.
Mhm.
Positive statements you repeat to yourself to counter those negative thoughts.
Affirmations, I've always been kind of skeptical about those.
Yeah.
It's kind of tricking yourself into feeling better.
Yeah.
Does it really work?
Well, think about it less as tricking yourself and more as retraining your brain.
Okay.
If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm going to mess this up, you're probably going to mess it up.
Yeah.
Right. But if you replace those thoughts with, I am capable, I am prepared, it shifts your entire mindset.
Okay. I can see how that might be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that chatterbox is just really persistent?
Yeah.
Just keeps coming back with new doubts and new worries.
Yeah.
How do you quiet that voice down?
Well, that's where self-compassion comes in.
Okay.
Imagine if a friend was struggling with a fear. You wouldn't just tell them to just get over it.
Right, right.
You'd offer them support. You'd offer them understanding. So self-compassion is about offering yourself that same kindness, that same understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's recognizing that we're all human. We all make mistakes. And it's okay to feel fear.
So if my inner voice is saying, you're going to bomb this presentation,
Huh.
self-compassion would be like, hey, it's understandable that you're nervous.
Yeah.
You prepared well, you're going to do great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about being gentle with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, recognizing your own strengths.
Yeah.
And resilience.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to feel like I have a whole new toolkit for dealing with fear. This is great. But one thing I'm still kind of stuck on is, how do you make decisions? When you're afraid of making the wrong choice. What if I pick the wrong job or the wrong relationship, the wrong flavor of ice cream? I don't know, it feels paralyzing.
Yeah. The fear of making the wrong choice. It's a big one.
Right.
Jeffers has a very radical solution for this. She argues that there are no wrong choices,
Yeah.
only learning experiences.
Wait, hold on. How can there be no wrong choices?
Hmm.
What if I, like, jump out of a plane without a parachute? That seems like a wrong choice.
Of course, there are choices with more serious consequences than others.
Right.
But the point is, even those bad choices can teach us something.
Okay.
Help us to clarify our values, learn new skills, discover hidden strengths.
So even a mistake can be reframed as, like, a step forward.
Exactly. This is where she introduces what she calls the no-lose mindset.
Okay.
The idea that every choice, regardless of the outcome, can contribute to our growth.
That's really interesting. So even if I end up hating that new job, I'll learn something about what I actually want in a career,
Exactly.
which takes some of the pressure off for sure. But how do you actually do that? How do you actually live with this no-lose thing? How do you know when to take a risk and when to play it safe?
That's a great question, and one that I think we should explore further.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Let's do that. All right. So we're back and ready to dig into this whole no-lose mindset.
Mhm.
It sounds really good,
Yeah.
like conceptually,
Yeah.
but I want to know how we actually use it
Right.
in those tough decisions, in life.
Well, it all starts with self-awareness.
So-
Before we can even think about making a decision, we need to understand our fears, our values, our priorities.
So kind of like taking stock of our internal landscape
Yeah,
before we go on a journey.
exactly.
So how do we do that?
Jeffers suggests journaling.
Okay.
It's a fantastic tool for getting to know yourself better. You can start by just writing down, a list of things that you're afraid of.
Okay.
Don't hold back big fears, small fears, even those irrational ones that you're like, I can't even believe I'm afraid of that.
Okay, so like public speaking, run out of coffee, and that weird clown statue in my grandma's attic.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And once you have your list, you can start to look a little deeper.
Okay.
Like, why does this particular thing make me afraid? What are the thoughts and beliefs that are fueling that fear? How does it impact my life?
So we're like fear detectives now uncovering the clues
I like that.
to our own anxieties.
That's a great way to put it.
I like it.
Yeah. And as you explore these fears, you might notice some patterns.
Okay.
Maybe you realize that, a lot of your fears come from a fear of failure or a fear of judgment. Recognizing those patterns can be super helpful in kind of understanding how fear operates in your life.
It's not just about what we're afraid of. It's like, why are we afraid of it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where mindfulness comes in.
Right.
It's about paying attention to the present moment, noticing your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
So mindfulness is like we're stepping back,
Mm-hmm.
observing without getting swept away.
You got it.
Okay.
And when you practice mindfulness, you start to notice, the physical sensations of fear,
Right.
the racing heart, the tightness in your chest, and you learn to observe those sensations without panicking,
Okay.
without letting them control you.
So we're like riding the wave instead of getting wiped out.
Exactly.
But how does that help us make decisions?
Well, when we're able to observe our fears without judgment, it creates space for more, rational decision-making.
Okay.
We're less likely to make, impulsive choices based on fear,
Right.
and more likely to make thoughtful choices that are aligned with our values.
So instead of letting fear be the driver, we're taking back the wheel.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm on board with that.
Mm.
But what about, those moments when that self-doubt creeps in?
Yeah.
Like even when we're trying to be all mindful and make good decisions.
Well, that's where self-compassion is so crucial.
Right.
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend who is struggling.
What does that look like practically?
Yeah.
Like if I'm freaking out about a big decision, how do I actually, give myself compassion?
It can be as simple as acknowledging your feelings.
Okay.
Instead of beating yourself up for feeling scared or uncertain,
Yeah.
just say to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. It's a big decision. It's natural to feel anxious.
So we're giving ourselves the same pep talk we'd give a friend.
And it's also about recognizing that you're not alone in this. Everyone experiences fear and self-doubt. It's part of being human.
That's comforting. I think it's really easy to feel like you're the only one struggling.
Right, especially, with social media and everything.
Yeah, it's all highlight reels.
It's not real life.
Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy, for sure.
Yeah, and it can really amplify fear.
For sure.
Mm.
So we've talked about journaling and mindfulness and self-compassion
Mm-hmm.
as tools for, figuring ourselves out and managing those fear gremlins.
Right.
How do we actually make a decision?
Yeah.
Especially a big one without getting, paralyzed.
That's where the no-lose mindset really comes in.
Oh,
It's about shifting our perspective from viewing decisions as potential wins or losses
okay.
to seeing them as opportunities for growth and learning.
Okay.
regardless of the outcome.
I'm following you, but I'm still not sure how this works in real life.
Okay, sure.
Can you give me an example?
Let's say you're thinking about leaving a stable job
Okay.
to pursue a passion project.
Mm.
It's a risky move, and that fear might tell you to play it safe and stay put.
Right.
But with a no-lose mindset, you would look at that through a different lens.
So instead of just focusing on the bad stuff,
Yeah,
like, financial instability or fear of failing,
right.
I'd also consider what I could gain from it.
Exactly. You might learn new skills, gain valuable experience, expand your network, or discover hidden talents. Even if the passion project doesn't work out exactly as planned, you'll gain valuable insights about yourself and what you truly want.
So even if I, quote unquote, fail,
Yeah,
I'm still winning
right.
by
Yeah,
learning and growing.
exactly. And that reframing can be so empowering.
Yeah.
It lets us take risks without being crippled by that fear of failure.
I love that. So no lose isn't about making sure you succeed.
Right.
It's about the journey
Exactly.
and what you learn,
Yeah.
whether it works out or not.
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus from avoiding failure to embracing growth.
That is seriously mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new way of approaching life.
Mhm.
But before we get too carried away with all this fear conquering,
Yeah.
we have to talk about one more important thing.
Okay. What's that?
What about when we need help?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what about when it's too much
Right.
to handle on our own?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to reach out for support, and that's okay.
It's not weak. It's strong to ask for help.
Exactly.
But who do we ask? And how do we know when we need more than just like a pep talk from a friend?
Those are great questions, and I think those deserve a deep dive all of their own.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get into that. All right, so we're back and ready to unpack this last piece of the fear-busting puzzle, support systems.
Yes.
Because, let's be real, even with all the journaling and mindfulness and self-compassion, sometimes you just need help from your friends, right?
Absolutely. We are social creatures, and having a strong support system can make all the difference when we're trying to face our fears.
Okay, but what do we even mean by support system? Is it just like having a bunch of cheerleaders, who are like, you're awesome, go for it?
It's definitely more than just, surface level encouragement. A true support system provides a safe space to be vulnerable, to share your fears and doubts without judgment. It's about having people who believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself.
So it's about having people who will hold space for us,
Yes.
like whether we're succeeding or struggling.
Exactly. And those people can come from all different parts of our lives, family, friends, mentors, colleagues, even online communities.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't have to be just, our closest friends.
Right.
Sometimes a stranger can, you meet online or something. They can give you a fresh perspective
Absolutely.
or,
Yeah.
Some encouragement when you really need it.
The key is to find people that you feel comfortable being authentic with. People who will listen without judging and offer support without trying to fix you.
So if let's say I was scared to quit my job to start my own business, a really supportive friend wouldn't just be like, you got this, quit your job, or no, don't do it, stay where you are. They would listen to my fears, acknowledge that I'm anxious, and maybe even give me some advice, from their own experiences.
That's a great example. A true supporter would help you, weigh the pros and cons, maybe brainstorm solutions. They might even know some people who have, made a similar leap.
Yeah. Like you'd have a team of advisors, who want you to succeed, but also understand how hard it is, to face your fears and take risks.
Exactly.
But what about when you need more than just a friend's advice? What about when it feels too big and you just feel super overwhelmed, like you need professional help?
It's so important to recognize that seeking professional help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
Right.
Therapists, counselors, coaches, they're trained to help us navigate those tough emotions.
Yeah.
To challenge those negative thought patterns. And to develop coping mechanisms to deal with fear and anxiety.
I think there's still, a kind of stigma. Like people think it's bad to go to therapy.
Right.
But honestly, I think everybody could benefit from talking to a professional every now and then. It's like, a personal trainer for your mental health.
I love that analogy. And just like a personal trainer helps us build physical strength and endurance, a therapist can help us build emotional resilience.
Yes.
And, develop the tools that we need to face our fears.
So if we're, feeling stuck or overwhelmed or just plain terrified,
Yeah.
it's totally okay to ask for help, right?
Absolutely. There's no shame in it.
Yeah. But how do we know when, how do we know when it's time?
Yeah.
Where's the line between normal fear and, something that needs like intervention?
That's a great question. I can't offer, specific medical advice, but I will say that if fear is starting to have a big impact on your life,
Yeah.
like on your relationships or your well-being, it's worth talking to someone.
So, like, if I was avoiding all social situations because of social anxiety,
Mhm.
or like having panic attacks and it was affecting my work or my sleep,
Yes.
those are signs that maybe, yeah, I need some help.
Absolutely. And even if you're not experiencing those, really intense symptoms, if you're feeling stuck and you don't know what to do, a therapist can be, super valuable. They can give you support and guidance.
So they're like, like a guide
Yeah,
to help us navigate, the sometimes treacherous terrain of our own minds.
exactly. And just like we wouldn't hesitate to go to a doctor if we had, a physical injury, we shouldn't hesitate to go to a mental health professional if we're struggling emotionally.
This has been great.
Yeah.
We've talked about so much, understanding the different levels of fear.
Mm.
We talked about how to, like, get to know ourselves better through journaling, mindfulness, and self-compassion. We talked about the no-lose mindset.
Hmm.
And we just talked about how to build a good support system. But before we wrap up this whole deep dive into feel the fear and do it, anyway, I want to bring it back to you, the listener. What's one fear you're ready to face? And what's the first step you can take today to, start moving towards a more courageous and fulfilling life?
Remember, you don't have to do it alone. You've got the tools, you've got the support, and you've got the power inside you to create the life that you want.
So embrace the journey, feel the fear, and do it anyway. Go out there and make it happen.